Ratios and rates. A ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. So here we have a situation. It says to write a ratio in two ways comparing the number of ducks to the number of pigs. So when I look at this, I see that the number of ducks is first and the number of pigs is second. The wording in the problem dictates how you write a ratio. So over here, and then we always need to remember to simplify our answers. So when we look here and we look at it, we see that for every 2 ducks, there is 1 pig. Initially, I had 4 ducks to every 2 pigs. I had 4 ducks to every 2 pigs. And I had 4 ducks to every 2 pigs. And you'll notice that I read each of these words in between as 2. So 4 to 2, 4 to 2, 4 to 2. So they're all read the same way. And when you simplify it, if I think about these as fractions, and they're not, we'll get into that in a second. If I think about this, and I have 4 over 2, and I simplify it, common factor of 4 and 2 is 2, so 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and that's where these numbers came from. So in this situation, I have 2 ducks to 1 pig, 2 ducks to 1 pig, and here, you can also use the words for every to talk about ratios. Here I have, for every 2 ducks, there is 1 pig. So moving on. A ratio, as I said, is a comparison of two numbers by division. So anytime you're comparing two numbers using division, that can be called a ratio. A ratio is also a relationship between two quantities, and ratios are not numbers. And the reason I say that ratios are not numbers is because they're comparing two things. Just back here, when we were talking about the pigs and the ducks, those aren't numbers. You have a number of pigs and a number of ducks, but those numbers are not what they are. They're pigs and ducks. So once again, a ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. And then there are 3 ways to write ratios. You also need to remember that the order in which you write them is important, because if you're comparing sugar to flour, that's different than if you're comparing flour to sugar. So once again, these are all read as 2 to 3. So 2 to 3, 2 to 3, and 2 to 3. That's the way they're all read. Okay. So for your homework for the first night of class was to make a vocabulary model about ratios. Then we watched the video on If the World Were a Village. And so here when we were watching the video, we found that for every 100 people in the world, there were 61 people who were from Asia. So if I make a ratio of that, I would say 100 to 61, 100 to 61, and 100 to 61. Okay. So things that are important to remember when you're writing ratios. For every can be used to replace the fraction bar, the colon, or the word to, and for each can also be used to replace those things. And the order, once again, the order of the words in the problem dictates the order that you write them in your ratio.